My biggest flex is a secret encounter with a major celebrity. The kind of story that sounds unbelievable to anyone who hears it, yet it's as real as the city lights twinkling outside my window. It happened at an exclusive club in Los Angeles, a place that seemed almost mythical, a blend of dimly lit corners, vibrant energy, and an air of secrecy that made it the ideal spot for the elite. I had been invited to the club by a friend who was in the industry, someone who always had a knack for getting into the hottest spots. It was a Friday night, and the anticipation buzzed in the air as we arrived. The moment I stepped inside, I was engulfed by the pulsating music and the warm glow of neon lights. People were dancing, laughter echoed around the room, and the scent of expensive perfume and cologne wafted through the air. I felt a rush of excitement. It was a world that pulsed with life and possibility. As I navigated through the crowd, I couldn't help but notice the many familiar faces. This was a space where talent met beauty, where the glitterati mingled and exchanged glances, and I was just a mere observer in their midst. My friend and I made our way to the bar, and I ordered a drink, hoping to soak in the atmosphere without drawing too much attention to myself. That's when it happened. I turned to scan the room, and my gaze landed on someone across the way. They were laughing with a group of people, their smile infectious and bright, cutting through the dimness of the club. My heart raced as I recognized them instantly. It was a major celebrity, someone I had watched on screens countless times, a person whose presence radiated charisma and charm. For a moment, our eyes locked, and the world around us faded into a blur. It felt surreal, like a scene from a movie. I could hardly believe I was standing in a place where this person was just a few feet away from me. I was tempted to look away, to retreat into the safety of the crowd, but something compelled me to hold their gaze. With an ease that felt almost otherworldly, they began to walk toward me. I couldn't suppress the thrill that shot through me. I was acutely aware of my heart pounding in my chest as they drew closer. When they reached me, it felt as if time had stopped. We exchanged friendly smiles, and before I knew it, we were talking and laughing like old friends. It was as if we had known each other forever, a connection that transcended the barriers of fame and normalcy. The conversation flowed effortlessly. We talked about everything and nothing, our shared interests, the chaos of the industry, and the joys of life outside the spotlight. I was captivated by their warmth and authenticity, qualities that felt refreshing in an environment often defined by superficiality. There was something genuine about our interaction, something that made me forget the swirling crowd around us. As the night wore on, we found ourselves stepping away from the noise, retreating to a quieter corner of the club. The chemistry between us was palpable, an unspoken understanding that hung in the air. I was acutely aware of how close we were, how the world outside seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of us in our own bubble of connection. One thing led to another, and as the clock inched toward the early hours of the morning, we found ourselves leaving the club together. The excitement and thrill of the night had transformed into a shared adventure, and as we stepped into the cool night air, I felt a sense of exhilaration coursing through me. It was a surreal experience, walking side by side with someone I had only ever seen on the big screen. We ended up at a private suite nearby, a place that felt equally luxurious and intimate. I remember the way the city lights twinkled outside the window, casting a soft glow in the room. There was an undeniable electricity between us as we settled in, the laughter and conversation continuing in this newfound sanctuary. The hours slipped away as we shared stories, delving deeper into our lives, our dreams, and our fears. I was entranced by the way they opened up, peeling back layers of their life in a way that felt intimate and genuine. It was a stark contrast to the persona they presented to the world. This was the real person, unfiltered and raw. As the night unfolded, we became lost in each other's presence. The barriers that typically existed between celebrity and fan dissolved, replaced by a connection that felt both thrilling and tender. In that moment, I wasn't just a spectator of their life, I was a part of it, sharing an experience that felt utterly unique. When morning arrived, the sun began to rise, casting a soft golden light across the room. It was a moment of beauty and realization, a bittersweet reminder that our time together was drawing to a close. We lay there, basking in the afterglow of the night, a comfortable silence enveloping us. I knew that soon we would have to return to our separate worlds. As we began to gather our things, a mutual understanding hung in the air. We both knew the importance of discretion in this moment. The world outside was relentless, and fame came with its own set of rules. This was a secret we would carry, a shared experience that belonged solely to us. I respected their need for privacy and understood that this was a fleeting moment, a brush with fame that would remain just that. We parted ways with a smile, a silent acknowledgement of what had transpired between us. I watched as they disappeared into the early morning light, their figure becoming a silhouette against the backdrop of the waking city. It felt surreal, a dream I had lived, and yet here I was, awake, alive, and filled with a rush of emotions. In the days that followed, the encounter lingered in my mind. It was a secret that I cherished, a memory that felt too precious to share. I was tempted to name-drop when I saw them in movies or interviews, to boast about my night spent with a celebrity. But I held back, understanding that the thrill lay in keeping it to myself. This was my moment, a private connection that existed beyond the noise of the public eye. There were times when I would catch glimpses of them on screen, their smile lighting up the screen, and I'd feel a rush of nostalgia wash over me. I'd remember the laughter, the warmth, and the shared secrets of that night. It was exhilarating, knowing that I had brushed against fame in such an intimate way, yet also comforting to keep it as my own private treasure. As I went about my daily life, I carried that secret like a badge of honor. It added an element of thrill to my routine, a story I could revisit in my mind whenever I needed a spark of excitement. I had glimpsed a world that few get to experience, and while it was fleeting, it changed something within me. There's an unspoken bond that exists between those who share secrets, a sense of camaraderie that is hard to describe. I felt a connection not only to that celebrity but to the experiences and emotions we had shared. It was a reminder that behind the glitz and glamour, they were just a person navigating life in much the same way I was. As time went on, the memory,